Doing all right? How's the fan club doing? Good to see you guys. Thank you for coming down.
Yes.
My pleasure. Well, welcome to the governor's office. It's certainly an honor to be with you today. I look forward to talking to you a little bit about what we have going on this legislative session. We're very busy around the Capitol. Just earlier today we announced some legislation that we have to end high-stakes testing in our state. Over the last 6-7 months, Superintendent Woods and I, the state school superintendent, have traveled the state doing listening sessions with teachers and work sessions with superintendents. I've spoken to the State School Boards Association, the Georgia Association of Educational Leaders, and on, really to just hear their feedback, to continue to listen to them about what their concerns are with education in our state. We also, talked about our great record that we had last year with the historic teacher pay raise, the school security grants that we gave to every single school in our state to help keep our kids, administrators, and educators safe in the classroom. Our increased mental health funding for our high schools for the APEX program, and a lot of other good things that we did. But we know we still have much work to do, and one of the things that we heard on the ground from people was there's too many tests, we're teaching the test, we're not giving our local educators enough flexibility to simply teach our children. And I, as one, trust them to do that. Superintendent Woods does as well. And I think today you saw a great bipartisan support, Republicans and Democrats at the press conference. Superintendents from all kind of different backgrounds in schools, urban, suburban, and rural, as well as Superintendent Woods and myself, and many other great leaders in the room. So we're very excited about the continued work that we do. This session on education, my budget includes another $2,000 increase for our educators, fulfilling my promise to raise teacher pay by $5,000. One of the biggest issues I've heard from the locals, and it doesn't matter what part of the state that you're in, is teacher retention issues. 44% of our teachers are leaving the profession in the first 5 years. So we designed the pay raise to help those on the low scale. First and foremost, it's helping everybody, but certainly exponentially helping those that are new or incoming teachers, and we feel like that'll solve one of their biggest needs, which is retention. So got great things going on in education. We're also doing a lot in public safety. As you know, I've had a commitment to go after street gangs in our state. We're having great success in doing that with the gang task force that was created last year to make sure we're keeping our business owners and our families safe from really the most dangerous that are among us. And we're going to build on that this year. We got 2 different things that we're doing. We're going to be giving them some more resources in the budget so they can continue to provide what they're being asked to do by the local circuits all across the state. It's not a mandate, simply when we're asked, and they've got a great workload right now in regards to that. The second piece is legislatively. We've got a piece of legislation to put some more teeth into the gang statute so that it'll give our prosecutors new tools to be able to really go after these folks. While continuing to support the great work that Governor Deal did in criminal justice reform and making sure our accountability courts continue to help those that have made a bad decision, but not those that we're afraid of. So we're very excited about that. We continue to move the needle on health care in our state. As you know, last year, like education, we had a historic session in regards to health care, passing the Patients First Act, which is allowing us to ask for waivers from the Trump administration. We're in the middle of working with them to do just that, and that'll have 2 different functions that we're trying to do. Number one, it will reform and give better access to Medicaid through the 1115 waiver to make sure that folks that need health care, but they also have the ability to have a pathway to have access to a low-cost private sector plan that is affordable and accessible. And that's been one of the biggest issues in our state. So we're really tackling not only the Medicaid side, but also with the 1332 waiver, the private sector side to make healthcare, no matter what your zip code, more available. Also to make sure that it is lowering costs. We're doing that with a reinsurance program and many other things. So we continue to work on that. We passed over 20 healthcare bills dealing with transparency, taking on antiquated regulations through the CON laws, and then also opening up more cancer treatment availability for our citizens in the state. This year there was an effort that working with in conjunction with the legislative leadership and a lot of hard-working legislators to deal with surprise medical billing. That's something that's been talked about around the country, quite honestly, and we are in the final stages of hopefully getting a bill negotiated where everybody in the building agrees on that and we can get that passed. So we have certainly a very aggressive agenda again as this year as we did last year. I think really the budget will drive much of the session because we're just in a different environment than we were last year with our revenues slowing down. You know, there was a lot of talk over the summer about a potential recession. Thankfully, that doesn't seem to be like that's going to take place. You know, there are things that are happening in the world with, you know, trade and the coronavirus and other things that can always, you know, change a trajectory. So we've got to continue to be very prudent and conservative in our budgeting. That's what we've done with our budget, is to make government smaller, more efficient. We continue to tackle government regulations to get out of the way of our hard-working small business owners and men and women who are getting up and going to work every single day, so we continue to have a great economy in our state. We're the #1 state in the country for business for the 7th year in a row now. I'm very proud of that. We continue to build off of that. We had the lowest unemployment we've ever had in the state at 3.2%. We had the most number of people in the workforce, but we need more. So we are continuing to work on workforce development issues. We need more people to go into the jobs that we have to fill them, to keep our economy growing and continue to move our state in the right direction. So those are all the things that we're working on. I could talk to you for probably an hour about great economic development projects that we've had. You know, Amazon, 1,000 jobs recently in Gwinnett, another almost 1,000 jobs over in Noonan, Georgia. We announced a supplier to the SK Innovation Plant, which is the big electric battery plant up in Jackson County, just straight up 85. Largest foreign investment ever in the state of Georgia, $1.67 billion. Several thousand jobs. I believe that will double within 5 to 7 years because of the market that's out there and what is coming for electric vehicles. But just a couple of weeks ago, we announced that a new company is coming. One of their suppliers is a direct result of landing the SK. We're now getting one of their suppliers. It's 300 jobs and a big investment up there. So we're already seeing our efforts pay off exponentially up there, and we're continuing to do that all over the state. So that's a mouthful right there. I will pause and see if you guys know we got a few more minutes. I'll pause and see if you have any questions for me.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
My name is Shivakumar. I represent the channel Tribune. It's an Indian channel, multilingual channel. So I have 2-3 questions basically. So I wanted to ask you about that heartbeat bill, which you signed. How is the response? Are you satisfied with the response?
Well, I think last year, I'm glad you mentioned that, because my press team would be mad that I did mention a couple other things that I got to roll in there. But, you know, we're very proud of our work standing up for life at the Heartbeat last year, as we promised people that we would do. But that work continues. You know, I said last year, the Heartbeat bill just shows that we value life at all stages, and we have to protect, you know, the born and the unborn. We got to protect the elderly and everybody in between, and that's what we're doing this year. We're working now to build off of what we did last year with foster care adoption reform, so that we can have more of our kids that are being born into really bad situations or foster care kids, and getting them in a great home where they can have the same opportunities that most Georgians have. So that is going to be a lot of tough work. There was some tough work done a couple of years ago that Governor did and the legislature did. We feel like we could do some more, raising the tax credit so we can make adoption of foster kids more affordable, from $2,000 to $6,000. also reducing the bureaucracy and red tape and a few other things. So I'm very excited about that work.
Good. So the other one is the traffic issue in Atlanta. So is there any plan to build subways like Boston, New York, something like that?
Well, the traffic issue is good and bad, right? It's good that you may have to sit in traffic a little bit. Bad that you may have to sit in traffic a little bit, but it's good that we have a lot of people coming to our state, and the state's growing and it's creating more traffic because it's good economic opportunities here right now. I would rather take the situation we're in versus being a state where everybody's moving out and you don't have any traffic or jobs. So we're excited about that. I just drove up to Alpharetta this morning. It is booming up there, driving up 400. There's over $1 billion project going on with that 285-400 intersection. We're working on new managed lanes going up 85. There's the plan that's being put out there right now on continuing to work on the 285 and 400, really all those major connectors, bridge intersections. So we have put a lot of money into transportation infrastructure. I think as far as expanding heavy rail or commuter rail, it's a lot tougher issue. We are so built out now; it's very expensive to do that. I'm supportive of doing that. It's got to be routes that are heavily traveled to be able to make the numbers work, and we have a lot of people that are working on that in regards to different boards and certainly MARTA and other people. But that is a more difficult task to take. I think technology and innovations in some ways may actually jump over that in the years ahead with some of the things that we're seeing. But look, we have all options on the table to continue to be innovative and figure out ways to reduce congestion, but also look to the future. Whether it's air taxis with companies like partnerships with Porsche and Boeing or Uber and other technology companies that are doing some pretty neat things in transportation.
Thanks.
Governor.
Rick.
Yes. Yeah. So you're clearly talking to the Indian American media. The Indian American community obviously has a tremendous amount of interest in small business development. You've done some amazing work and have been doing some amazing work as it comes to making Georgia the #1 for small business. Can you share a little bit about that and the work of the Georgia's First?
Yeah, the Georgia's First Commission, a little over a year old now, and have been working very hard on making Georgia #1 for small business. We've got some great things that we're working on to reduce regulations and red tape, which is certainly a big concern of our small business owners in the state. Also looking at our tax environment as well. My thinking on the tax reform is making sure that when we're reducing taxes, that we're also taking a burden off of that taxpayer. As a small business owner for over 30 years, it is aggravating filling out all of this paperwork. If you do it yourself, it's even more aggravating in some ways if you have to pay somebody to do it, because that is painful as well. So I can't say enough about how well the Georgia's First Commission has been going around the state, talking to small business people, literally in all corners of our state. And now we are coming up with things that we're going to start implementing to move government out of the way of hardworking business people.
Sir, about your the election campaign, you made election reforms. What's the development in the election reforms and voting machines? There is a big controversy whether they are foolproof or improperly checked.
Yeah, I don't really see a controversy in the election. I think there may have been others that saw that. I had great confidence in our elections in the state. They continue to perform well. There was a piece of legislation last year to change the voting equipment, which was natural. That's been talked about for 2 years in the building. The voting system that we currently have, which has aged out, so it was time for a new system. The technology is there now with new systems, and Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger has been championing what the legislature approved last year and paid for. The new equipment's been bought. It's going out to the counties. It's being used in elections. I think it's going to be a great system. It works much like our system today. So it's very easy to use, very fast to vote on. But the good thing about it is you have a paper ballot. It prints your ballot out. You physically can hold it in your hand, look at your selections, and once you're comfortable with that, you scan it. That is when the vote is actually counted. It's recorded electronically, so you have the speed of reporting the results quickly. But you also, in the event of a very close race or some need for a recount, you can always go back and count the paper ballot as well. So there's two different ways to verify the election.
How will the QR codes, voter know that the lane matches with the QR code?
Well, I think that'd be a good question for the Secretary of State's office, because I'm the governor now. I'm not implementing the technology. I wasn't on the task force that picked that. I'm very confident in the system, but I'll leave the technical answers up to the experts.
Sir, being a woman and brought up in a male-dominated society, I appreciate you for bringing Miss Kelly in-house. Thank you so much. And then I appreciate that bill, that heartbeat bill 481, and because of this bill, we are happy. All women, because of the bill, if this bill would have come, I would have been for, but now I'm free and I'm happy. So thank you so much. So my question is, when we are going to see First Lady of Atlanta, just like you?
Oh. Hopefully, after my 8 years are up. Well, we're very excited about Kelly Loeffler. She's doing a great job as our U.S. Senator. As you know, she's not a career politician. She's a business owner. She was raised on a farm, very meager beginnings, worked hard, put herself through school, followed her dream to the financial markets, and has been very successful. But she's now ready to save that American dream that she has literally lived, that really defines capitalism and opportunity in our country, where an Illinois farm girl can be a U.S. Senator from the state of Georgia. Jeff and her have been in the great state of Georgia for over 20 years. They've built businesses here. We have Georgia-based people that have bought the New York Stock Exchange. Who would have ever thought that? And so I'm proud that she's up in the Senate. I mean, she's much like our president, Donald Trump, a political outsider who's a business person. And our other U.S. Senator, our senior Senator, David Perdue, political outsider and a business person. And they now have an ally working with them in Kelly Loeffler. And I just urge Georgians to get to know her. They're going to love her, and she's going to continue to do a great job for us.
And she works with animal shelters, I thought?
What's that?
She works with animal shelters?
Animal shelters.
Well, I'm not sure about Kelly. My wife definitely is promoting pet adoption. But I do know Kelly has volunteered for years at the Atlanta Food Bank. Her and Jeff are great supporters of that organization, volunteering there many, many times.
So how Indian media we can join that?
What's that?
How we can join your wife?
Oh,
How did that?
I'll get her to reach out to you. She is, she'll have, we'll get her to do a little media.
Okay, thank you. So thank you, Karthik, and this scientific also there would be thank you.
Now, will you welcome foreign businesses in Georgia?
I'm sorry?
Foreign businesses in Georgia,
Oh,
especially Indian businesses, because there are many Indian businesses who are ready to come to US, and if they are coming here, what incentive you can provide?
Well, I would tell any business, any foreign business that wants to come do business in the state of Georgia, we look forward to talking to them. We have much foreign investment in our state right now from a lot of different companies from literally all over the world. There's not a more international state than the state of Georgia when it comes to business. And we look forward to having those discussions with companies that may be looking to do business here. We understand that trade goes both ways. It's not just us having Indian companies come here, but also us having American investments there. And we have great companies that are doing business all over the world, like Coca-Cola and UPS and many others.
We've got time for about one more question.
This is Praveen presenting TU5. So I just wanted to ask one question on the educational.
Okay.
So definitely seeing the increase in robotics and machine learning. So what are the new things we are bringing into the educational system so that our judges will be step up in that area?
Well, that is a great question and really a point. And that's one of the things that we're working on right now. Just like we did the listening sessions to create the legislation for high-stakes testing, we also have working groups right now of superintendents, teachers, and citizens, which is parents and other stakeholders, on our curriculum. Talking about the curriculum we have, the curriculum we don't have, what do we need to be doing in our schools. Last year about this time, I spoke to a robotics competition in Athens. And when I went in, I was amazed at how many people were in there. It was like going to a huge sporting event. And we need that in our state when you think about the need for more engineers and people that are in industries like that where we have growing jobs. It's really the future of the world's economy, not only our states, but literally the world when you think about STEM, engineering, IT, just other things that literally are growing so fast. People are moving to Georgia because they can get the workforce here. So we stand ready to work on those issues, and I'm a big supporter of that.
Kemp, one question. When are you taking the team to India, and what is the government doing on the backlog of the green cards and H-1Bs? How is the quickest way? Because you're literally spending 15 years waiting on a green card and getting old. So what is the provision of workers?
I think that may have been two questions.
Yeah.
Well, I think on our international travels, I kind of leave that up to the Department of Economic Development. I'm a hard worker, so I've been on a couple of overseas trips already, and we'll certainly consider going to India. I know I've met with many great Indian leaders over the years, and look forward to doing that in the recent days. I know we have several requests out before us right now. In regards to visas and other things, I would probably need to look into that. That's probably a better question for your congressional delegation or U.S. Senate offices. Thank you all for having us.
Hello, Mohan.
You can tell us about your priorities for your second term.
Second term? I've just told you my priorities for the second session. I'll worry about the second term here in another year or so.
So,
Got a lot of other meetings.